Hi, today's Skillshare is going to be building a report in ActionNetwork. First, the overview. We're going to go over the purpose of reports and what you can use them for. Then we'll go over the different field options you can include or exclude on a report. We'll go over what inclusion means in reports and how to exclude certain people, and then how to use those reports moving forward. So when you go into Action Network, you start organizing, you go to People, and you go to Reports, and you click plus. All right, so I'm doing this from the Seattle DSA list. There are sub-lists within this. Information that gets updated in any of those sub-lists generally flows upward. So a member updates their information in there and say divest SPD, it flows upward and updates the record overall. So what a report is. So reports build on the email targeting that we did in a previous Skillshare. So reports, you can build these and know exactly what they mean and what's contained in them, and then use them for future actions. You can use them for future emails, letter writing campaigns, events, creating specific groups, like let's say all the members who live in Burien and Tukwila. So there's different field options you can include or exclude. Now, when you're building a list of attributes of various people we have in our data, you can include within the same field, like let's say states. And when you do it within the same field, you're saying, Washington or Idaho. Or if you're doing, say, a city, you could do Seattle or Burien or Tukwila. So you can add all of those, and it's going to expand the list. Those exclusions within the same field expand a list. Inclusions across separate fields, if you're adding, say, Washington State, and then you're also adding, people who opened the last email we sent, it actually is going to shrink the list because it's doing, okay, all the people who live in Seattle who also did this thing, so and did this thing. But when you're doing it within a field, it's like an or statement. It's this or that, and it adds up if it's within the same field. So these are all fields. So starting from the start, you could select state, you can select county, legislative district. For example, if you want to go into Washington's 9th Congressional District, and the Gallardo campaign is running against Representative Adam Smith. So that's Washington's 9th Congressional District, and that refers to the federal House of Representatives. You can find ones for specific state Senate and state House. You can also create custom lists, but let's just go through the other fields. State, county, legislative district, country. You can do a radius around a particular zip code if you just want to hit up all the members who live in Tukwila. There's an action in Tukwila. You want to make sure people there or nearby know about it. You can do language. You can do people who have clicked or opened prior emails. You can do fundraising. All our fundraising is done through PayPal, generally speaking. At least on the website it is. So this isn't really that useful. You can do tags. Caution with tags is it isn't necessarily clear when those tags were updated. So if they aren't something that is regularly being updated, you have no idea how many people are that a tag applies to. It's not one of those things that we update automatically with our member data from national. You could do field values, and this is where you would select custom fields that are, for example, in our census, like what union someone is in, if they have a particular skill set or hobby, all these custom fields that we add, you would just add a field value. And remember, as you're adding more field values, it's going to be additive. So you could do someone who does communications or graphic design or email and so on. You can even build reports that combine other reports. And this might be useful. You might have a very targeted list of people who are doing a certain thing in Burien, and you want them to meet up with people who are doing a certain action or have done a certain action in Tukwila. So you would just add both of those reports, and then you'd have this sort of report built out of other reports. You can do queries. Queries are like reports taken to the next level. We're not going to cover them in this training. Queries are there. The only ones that I'll mention are ones that are really useful that I've built. SDSA total members. That's going to look at members in good standing, people who have their dues up to date, and people who recently lapsed that count towards our quorum for meetings. And then you can also target quorum only, and you can also target members in good standing, quorum and ballot eligible. You can look at various activity if they've engaged with something we've done in the past 7 days. Maybe they'd be a good candidate to recruit to a particular thing where you're needing someone who opened the email, was really interested about Medicare for all and healthcare policy. And that's it. Those are all the fields you can do. You can also build what's called ladders, where you can take actions that people have done and kind of chain them together. If they've done this, then do this, and ladders that have been set up. And then exclusions is just the opposite. It'll build a list of people to exclude from your inclusion list. So if you have nothing in your include list, it's going to select everyone in our data. And for exclude, it's going to start building a list from nothing. So by default, include, if you leave everything blank, will send to everyone that's on our list. In this case, Seattle DSA, everyone. It's like 6,700 people. And then exclude. Exclude works the same way. If you add multiple values in a given field, like let's say the city, and you added Seattle or Burien, if you wanted to just pull out ones that are in the Seattle area and you wanted to focus on the east side, or if you wanted to focus on, say, specific legislative districts that are having elections this year and you were trying to recruit someone to run for office, you can focus on just those legislative districts because obviously the people have to live in those districts to run. So you can exclude, and it works exactly the same way. It just builds a list of people to exclude. So whatever is the include list, it'll subtract anything that's in here. Values in the same field will be or statements, and they'll add up to this exclusion list. And if you do across multiple fields, it'll kind of subtract or narrow it. So you might want to exclude people who already got the email and already registered for an event, for example. So you're not spamming someone's mailbox. Super helpful in making sure that we're only reaching out to people who haven't done the thing yet, or who, might have an interest in doing something. Yeah, so that's it. And after you've built your report, be sure to include a name and hit save and select data. So if I click this, it's going to go to another screen, and it would show me a list of people that applied to. All right. And so you can choose what data you want from this report. You can say, I only want the email address, the first name, and the zip code. You could say, I only want their given language that they know and their skill sets. Like maybe we want someone who knows how to do videography and record videos for Spanish speakers that are living in the south of the county. And you would save and get results. I'm not going to go to that screen. That's going to show member data, and we're going to practice good OPSEC and stop it there. So once again, this is how to build a report in ActionNetwork. If you have any questions, you can reach me on the comms_design_WG, as in working group, on Slack. We also take requests and we log them in the Trello each week, so we can see what everyone, what the needs are of the chapter as a whole. So yeah, reach out to me. Always here to help. Logging off.